Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tales from Azeroth. Come and grab a drink, relax, as I go through some stories and moments that you can hopefully relate to. Today's topic is about Shadowlands beta. Now, Shadowlands beta has come out very recently. It's about a week ago? About a week to 2 weeks ago. They announced the Shadowlands beta earlier in the month, and the current month is July 2020. They announced it 3 to 4 weeks ago, and they've been sending out invites ever since. I myself have been fortunate enough to get such invite, and this is actually really something because it's the first beta that I've been invited to. I've been playing WoW since Wrath of the Lich King. I'm a Wrath baby, as I'm known. A lot of people will understand that reference or that term. If you aren't familiar with that term, a Wrath baby is basically you started in the expansion of Wrath of the Lich King. So a Burning Crusade player who started in Burning Crusade is a BC baby. Burning Crusade, BC. WoD baby, I wouldn't recommend being one of them because that is unfortunate. Mainly because of the expansion's lack of content. But we're not going to go into that. We're going to go straight into Shadowlands beta, talk about some of the things that are new within it and what we can look forward to in the up-and-coming expansion, Shadowlands. So let's get straight into it with the obvious ones, which is appearances. Now, appearances, they're updating a lot. With BlizzCon last year, they announced that they were giving us loads and loads of new customization options for our characters. And these aren't just your normal, like, more hairstyles, like different hair colours. Now, they are still there. There are more hairstyles and there are more different hair colours. But these go into, these go even deeper. So you can put your ethnicity sort of into your character now. They're making sort of like Asian type faces and things like that. So they're really going with it, like all out. But let's just start with the simple stuff. Hair. There is more hair customizations. For Night Elves specifically, you can now have leaves within your hair. It's a weird thing to see leaves in your hair, but it is there, and it does suit the Night Elves really well. And obviously the Night Elves being from like foresty sort of areas, it really does make sense because you get a lot of druid characters and you can really feel sort of into that like druid prospect almost, if that makes any sense, if I've said that right. Different hairstyles, there's about, I think 10, around the average of 10 different hairstyles for each race. This is every single race. I'm not too sure if it's for the allied races, but I'm pretty sure that it is. But yeah, there's 10 sort of new unique hairstyles that you can go into. You also have the hair colours. They're making it a lot more vibrant, some of the colours, so you can now be ginger. You got a lot of ginger colour in there. You've got very, very bright colours, very red, very vibrant, very standout colours. And I think a lot of people, when the expansion hits, will definitely be going to the barbers straight away. I know a couple people who literally are waiting on the expansion just to go to the barbers. They have a couple of characters literally just sat outside. That's it. You also have tattoo options that they're adding. So tattoos could be in the forms of body paint. Well, it's not tattoos, sorry. It's not tattoos. It is kind of body paint. I kind of class them in the same aspect because, I don't know, they're completely different things, but I don't know why I've classed them in the same area. But you have body paint that you can basically wear on your face, on your entire body. You can do a whole absolute, like, you have a load of customization options to choose from when Shadowlands comes out. Basically, you have you even like go down into tail length. Like, so Draenei's, or the space cows, as some people know them, they have their tails. Yeah, normal thing. I'm not too sure if it's the same for Torrent. I would imagine so. But you have you can customize the tail length. You can have short. You can have short and is it braided or short and jeweled or something? But it basically covers the tail in like a little jewelry. Covers it in a little piece of jewelry. You can have medium, medium jeweled, and long, long jeweled. These are all very like intricate things that the player base has been wanting for a while. Now, you're never going to satisfy people because there's always something else that they want. They always want blue eyes. They always want green eyes. They are in the game, by the way. I believe the blue eyes are. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that because some people want high elves and high elves have blue eyes and it gets a bit... I'm not going to delve into that because it does get a bit complicated and people are angry that there aren't high elves in the game. And it's a bit of a hit and miss subject, like lore-wise, so I'm going to try and stay away from that because I don't know it fully as well. But in beta, in the Shadowlands beta, you're going to see a few things that aren't quite complete. So I've obviously been playing around on the Shadowlands beta. I've been making my characters. And when there are some things that aren't complete, it's basically... when I went to select some body paint, or like some paint or anything like that, it basically put the paint on, which was good, but it erased the entire head of the character. The head just disappeared and was this white canvas, and there's no textures, there's no nose, there's no eyes, it's just this white canvas. So you got this floating white cut out of a head with this amazing like body of a demon hunter or something, and it looks absolutely ridiculous. I haven't tried making one since because there was an update for the Shadowlands beta today, in fact, but I would hope that they're fixing it. Again, it is still a beta, it's still work in progress. They said that it would be released at end of fall, I believe it was. And end of fall is 24th of December. Is the cut-off point for that? Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it is around there. But they've got loads of time to work on these customization options. Some of them are still not implemented. Not all of the allied races and races are on there at the moment, I don't believe. They might have again updated that. Or I might not have seen them. I'm very bad at missing out the obvious stuff, to be honest. But even like scars, you can have scars on your characters now. And some of these are quite, striking is the word I'd use for it. So in BFA, obviously, spoiler alert if people haven't played through BFA, but Teldrassil was burned, the home of the Night Elves, and there is a scar option which is literally called Teldrassil, and it is just a burn across their face. Now that's quite daunting and a little bit dark. It's quite something to see Blizzard to do that. But it obviously incorporates the more sort of darker side that you can be, whereas you can be like a Death Knight with that sort of scar and stuff. You could have died in Teldrassil. People who roleplay within the game can make backstories of the scars and stuff like that. So it's really cool that they can incorporate that within, like, not just it's a customization option, it can also be used in like roleplay situations as well. But all of the appearances that they're doing are amazing, to be honest with you. They're all spectacular. You could honestly spend a while just sat there, like, going through all of your characters and updating the customizations to how you want it. Favourite one, though, has got to be this little gnome. This little gnome with a new hairstyle, and this hairstyle is called Bedhead. And the hair, I kid you not, is, I think, about the same size of the gnome, like lengthwise. And I've made mine bright pink, and it's a little gnome mage, a female gnome mage, and it's honestly the best thing that I've ever seen. It makes me want to play Gnome so much, and it's that sort of thing that can get you into it again. Just like a random customization that you, or like in the in the past, you don't like night owls because they didn't have leaves in their hair, but like you can make that customization option now a thing, and that will draw people back as well. Like, people will just play Shadowlands for the customization options. I said this in my last one again, but yeah, people will come back just for that. But it even goes into like skin color as well. You can go from any shade of your skin color. So you can have white, tanned, darker skin tones. Like, it can go into so many things, and they're really putting a lot of effort into just the customization options alone, which is amazing. And I can't wait to, you know, fiddle about with all of the little things when the game actually launches in the back end of the year. But I want to get into the main sort of point of this video, which is the dungeons on the beta. Now, I've played through several of these dungeons. There's a couple that I haven't, and I've got a list of them here, actually, because I can't remember their names to save my life. But the ones that I haven't done are the other side, as it's called on the beta as of now. Plaguefall I technically haven't done, but I have seen it been played, so I'm going to list that as I haven't done it. Spies of Ascension I have not done as well. And Theatre of Pain, the edgiest one of them all, the Theatre of Pain. But basically all of these dungeons I want to try out on different classes. So I've played a druid and a mage on the beta. Now the druid I really am enjoying because they brought back the eclipse system from, or kind of, from Cataclysm. I believe it was Cataclysm. Yeah, it was. They've kind of kept it throughout the expansions in a way, but it's basically, if you use, so you have two different types of abilities with druids, and this is for balanced druids. You have solar and lunar eclipse. Now, if you cast two wraths, or solar wraths as they're known, you will get a proc which increases the damage of your lunar strike, and it reduces the cast time of it. And it's vice versa as well. So you get that proc for 12 seconds, and then you've got to use two lunar strikes to empower your solar wrath, but you can't do it like back to back. So you can't do solar wrath, and then you get your lunar empowerment, and then you can't do two solar wraths again and get lunar empowerment again. You've got to do lunar empowerment, solar empowerment, lunar empowerment, etc. And I find that quite nice to sort of work into a rotation. It's not just constant solar wrath, and then just spam lunar strikes, solar wrath, that sort of stuff. So it gives it a bit of fluidity, the like class and everything. But I did most of these dungeons on my druid, and it was really fun, really enjoyable dungeons. There's a couple that are just sort of, you know, your normal standard dungeon, very trash heavy. The boss mechanics are somewhat alright. There was one that stands out where if you get a ghost on you, you have to run it into an orb, and you only have 4 orbs around the room. So if you run out of orbs, this thing floating towards you pulsates AoE damage, and if you don't have an orb, you can't kill it. So basically it's like a pseudo enrage. So you've got to kill the boss before all of these orbs are gone, and you get overwhelmed by the damage that this thing's pulsating out, which is really cool. The pseudo enrages are really cool within World of Warcraft because it gives that certain sense of urgency within a fight. There's one that I want to talk about really in depth though, and it's called Miss of Tierna Scythe. I think I pronounced that right. Don't quote me on it though. Tierna Scythe? It is Scythe. No, I know it's Scythe. But Tierna, I think it is. Turner? It's not Turner. Yeah, Tierna Scythe. But basically, this is a Night Fae dungeon. And the Night Fae are one of the covenants. They are the Druidy covenant, we will say. Which is about wildlife, protecting wildlife and everything like that of that nature. But basically, you're dropped into this lovely looking zone, by the way. This lovely looking instance. All the blue hues and the like purple. And the backdrop is just amazing. Because within the Night Fae land, which is called... it's just Night Fae, isn't it? Venthyr, Revendreth, Ardenweald. There we go. Got it. Ardenweald. I literally just thought it was called Night Fae for some reason. I don't know about that. But Ardenweald has a massive tree within the middle of the zone. And this tree is huge. Like, you can see it from entering the zone at the very first... Or since... Yeah, my words. You can see it at the start of the zone as you enter the zone. Like, to start questing there. And as you're going through the zone, you're progressing towards this big tree, and then you branch out from it like a root, which is really nice. But even in the dungeon, you can see the tree in the backdrop, and again, you're working your way towards it slowly to kill kind of a Gahoon-style model, we will definitely say, a big bug-type guy who's feeding on Loa, and the Loa are troll gods almost, in a sense, that each have their own different powers. So there's a god of death or a lower of death, and this one is feeding on the lower of knowledge. And it's feeding so much that it's growing to the point where it would eventually like wipe out a lot of people before it was killed. So we're just sent in there to deal with it. But the first boss is nothing too special. It's just your standard, like, tank and spank, really. He has a little ad that you get down to 20% health, and then the ad puts a debuff on the actual boss, which increases the damage he takes by 100%. It's just rinse and repeat, really. Nothing too special there. But to get to the second boss, you have to go through a maze. And this maze has 4 different paths, and in each of the paths is a rune. So you walk up to this little like stone tablet thing, and a rune will appear on top of it, and you have to figure out which rune is different compared to all of the others. Now this sounds simple. You're thinking, okay, 3 runes are surely going to be a leaf, and this one's going to be a star. No. It's very minute differences. So all of them can be different symbols completely, but they all might have a ring around them or something, and one might not. They might be like pointing in a different direction. It's a very minute things that you got to pay attention to. Now, if you go the wrong way, I'm pretty sure it spawns just like more ads. I'm not too sure. I only did this dungeon once, but our group picked the right way every time, which was really something. We actually, like, it's really something because you have to work your way through it and figure out, and it's a puzzle within a dungeon, which makes it absolutely amazing because the DPS can like figure out the puzzle whilst the tanks are tanking the mobs, and it gives the DPS something to do rather than just stand there, spell, spell, spell. It's something like that. So it's a really intricate thing. And whilst you're going through all of these, every door that you open up, the boss, who is this little like pixie thing, by the way, is kind of just undermining you. It's like, oh, that was fun. And it's just like, oh, shut up. But in the end, you literally fight this pixie thing, and he has simple mechanics. So you kill, he'll split into 4 things, and you've got to figure out which one is the actual him. If you don't, which my group didn't, then for every one that you kill, you'll take a burst of AoE damage. So we killed one, didn't get it right, burst of AoE damage. Killed the second one, didn't get it right, burst of AoE damage. Killed the third, guess what, wasn't right, burst of AoE damage. We almost wiped on that boss because we couldn't figure out which one was the real one. Now, we could have just been stupid, but I swear to you there was no differences. I swear, there was no differences in anything whatsoever. If it was a pixel that was missing, I swear to God. But even after you kill this pixie, like, he spawns, because it was just a vision. He was just playing a game, and that's annoying as hell because you're trying to get to this big ass like boss that's eating lower, like eating gods, and this pixie's playing a game with you like hide and seek. It's like trying to do a really important work call whilst your kids are running about and you're trying to play like it or tag with them, as like other people would know it as tag. We call it, or I certainly call it in England. But it's really just annoying to get through, but it's so much fun as well at the same time. Like, that's what... See, I felt the dungeons in BFA, Battle for Azeroth, were not that sort of... They didn't interact with you as much as these ones that they're setting up. Because there's many different mechanics. Like, don't get me wrong, the bosses in BFA have very good mechanics, but these ones fit the zone that they are in, like Ardenweald, Revendreth, Maldraxxus, and Bastion. They all have their own different sort of character and flair to them because of the zone. Like, there's one in Bastion, I'm pretty sure it's Bastion, it's Spies of Ascension? No. It's Necrotic Wake. That one. It's the Necrotic Wake dungeon. I'm looking at my list like, I still haven't got them memorised which dungeon's which, so you gotta give me a second with that. But yes, the Necrotic Wake, I believe, where you, on the second boss, he just keeps spawning abominations. And the boss itself is untargetable. But these abominations throw out an ability called Chain Hook. And this Chain Hook, you have to aim towards the boss so that he gets hooked outside of his like invulnerability zone, and you can basically attack him, and then he'll jump out of the room and go back into his invulnerability zone. So it's a really cool mechanic, but it's something that you have to think about because you can't just burst down the abominations. You've got to get them to a certain health, have them hook, and then you can kill them off so that they aren't doing extra damage. It's just very small mechanics like that. There is one also that I have yet to try. I believe it's in the Theatre of Pain. But this boss teleports two of the DPS to like a dueling arena, and you fight it out. And within 45 seconds, if there is not a winner, you both get cowardness debuff. Now, I have yet to know what this cowardness debuff is, but it would be really fun to just duel someone whilst in a dungeon. And if one person wins, they get like victor, and if the other person wins or loses, they get like loser. I don't think it's loser, but I'm just gonna call it loser for now. But you'd be like telling people to win certain duels within these dungeons because it gives them like the better buff for them, and it doesn't affect the loser as much. So it's really intricate things like that that can really push times in. Like, now I'm talking like really high end stuff, like mythic dungeons, like from the world class players. Like, these sort of things are very intricate, and they will play a part in everything, like, eventually. But it's very small things like that which make the experience so much more fun within the dungeons. It's not just mindlessly grinding dungeons to try and get a piece of gear that might get an upgrade, stuff like that. It's very intricate things, and it's just quality. Now, I'm going to get back to the dungeons very later. I'll probably do a podcast going very much in depth with them. Very, very much in depth, like with each dungeon, what they do, boss encounters, stuff like that. That'll be for another video though, because we're getting to the end of this one. Or another video, another podcast. But I will end this one just by talking about some of the legendaries. This is a topic that is very much endgame of Shadow Legends. Christ, I've seen that advert so many times. You know the one from YouTube, the Raid Shadow Legends one, yeah. But Shadowlands, it's basically the legendaries you craft in Shadowlands. So in Legion, the expansion before Battle for Azeroth, It was just RNG. You looted it from any mob within the world. That was it. In Battle for Azeroth, I believe you can craft them? I believe so, but it's very tough to. Is there even any? There is. No, I don't believe... No, there is, but I'm not too sure on how to get them, to be honest with you. Because I'm not too into BFA at the moment. I need to re-jog my memory on BFA. I've been playing a lot of Classic myself. But legendaries you craft, and you can craft any slot. So you go to the rune crafter who is in Torghast, Tower of the Damned, and he gives you 4 little sections that you need to fill in. So you put in your headpiece, we'll say, and then you need the legendary component, which you will get from either Mythics, World Quests, PvP, anything at all. It can be from anything. And you also pick a couple of specific secondary enhancements, I'll call them, because I can't remember the word. Secondary stats. Stats, there's the word. Secondary stats. Basically, it's your mastery, your haste, and your crit, your critical strike rating and versatility. You put them into the like stats. So your main stat, it might be plus 62 crit, and then you get plus 62 versatility as well, something like that. And then you craft it. Now, these are really good in theory because it's no RNG based. You're actively going to farm the legendaries that you want, etc. But there's some legendaries that are yet not on the beta, but there are some that are. Oh, of course, just listen to that back. It sounds ridiculous, but there are legendaries that are on the beta, which I've tried out. There's one for Mage, which I'm really liking. It has a small % chance on every Pyroblast cast to make your Pyroblast instant and no need for a hot streak. Now, a hot streak is what you need to make your Pyroblast instant in the first place. And to get a hot streak, you need 2 crits in a row. So Fire Mages stack crit. And if you get 2 crits in a row, you get a free Pyroblast. So you throw out the Pyroblast and you get this proc. This 5-second proc. Only 5 seconds. That basically lets you just spam Pyroblasts. And you can do this for as many times as you want. The only thing restricting you is the global cooldown. Now the global cooldown is obviously you can't just spam you can't just slam your keyboard and every spell is used at the same time. There needs to be an inbuilt global cooldown for that not to break the game pretty much. So there are things that you can do to manipulate it, but this one I found is really fun. It does proc quite often. I'd say it's about a 2% proc chance. Anything between like 1 and 3% proc, to be honest. But it is really fun to sort of test it out. I'm hoping that they've put the Druid ones up there that I can test out. But so far the Druid ones are not on there as of the last time I went on Shadowlands. We'll say that. But no, it's been really fun, the Shadowlands beta. I will definitely go into more detail with the dungeons and Torghast especially, like the later or the end game content. I will definitely go into more detail about that in a future episode because it's just too much to pack into one, to be honest. I think you get for about half of the dungeons and that will be an episode, etc. Like there's just so much to talk about within each of them, just aesthetically, gameplay wise, mechanic wise, so many different like aspects to them that it requires its own episode. I'm sorry, but no, thank you all very much for joining in and tuning in. I hope to see you next week and we can go into more Tales from Azeroth from there. Thank you all very much for watching and I'll see you next week. Goodbye all.